Hello my fellow nerds, and welcome to Nerd Cookies. This channel is going to be focused on my love of science fiction and fantasy. So many things to be nerdy over. Star Wars, Star Trek, Stargate, Dune, Marvel. I'm dedicating my first video to my number one fandom, Star Wars. And I'd like to share my opinions on what is happening to Star Wars currently. Star Wars is a universe that has captured my imagination since I was a child. And I still feel very attached to it and invested into what happens to this franchise. I love Star Wars, but I don't always agree with the people who have control over it and what they choose to do with it, as I'm sure a lot of people out there feel the same way. George Lucas built this incredible universe, though he made some very questionable decisions at times.
Jar Jar is the key to all this. If we get Jar Jar working, because he's a funnier character than we've ever had in any of the movies before.
Well, it seems like a lot of short scenes.
It's bold in terms of jerking people around, but I may have gone too far in a few places.
In a space of about 90 seconds, you go from lamenting the death of, a hero, to escape, to slightly comedic with Jar Jar, to Anakin returning with his little kind of tag. It's a lot, and it's a very short time.
Boggles the mind.
I wasn't fond of the story direction in the prequels, as well as the dialogue at times.
Did you press the stop button? No, did you? No?
And there were a few times when the prequels deviated from what was already established in the original trilogy.
I have something here for you. Your father wanted you to have this when you were old enough.
But that's a video for another day. There's something I wanted to discuss in this video that I've noticed and am very confused by, and want to know what y'all think about this as well. In Hollywood, there is a trend that has started of one person having sole creative control over a movie property, having one person write and direct. And even though sometimes that might work out, in a property that has become as intricate as Star Wars, this has become a bit of an issue. George relied on a lot of collaboration when he made the original trilogy. You can have these amazing world-building ideas, but that doesn't mean you can tell a story effectively in it. I highly recommend checking out the video How Star Wars Was Saved in the Edit, and I'll leave a link in the description below. There were some pretty crucial decisions made by other people that drastically changed the final product. And if those edits hadn't been made, I don't think it would have been such a big hit. This shows that when a group of people who are willing to share ideas and to collaborate with others who are passionate about the story, it can result in something awesome. So I definitely didn't agree with the decision he made with the prequels. George wanted sole creative control to do the prequels how he wanted to do them. And we definitely see the differences between those two trilogies.
I don't like sound. It's coarse, rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
I also feel that surrounding yourself with a bunch of yes people doesn't help the creative process.
The whole thing is how you can top the pod race. They'll be exhausted by the time they end the pod race. They'll be ready to go home. And then that with Anakin, kind of duplicating the Luke Skywalker role, but you see the echo of where it all is going to go. And instead of destroying the Death Star, he destroys the ship that controls the robots. Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme. Mm-hmm. Every stanza kind of rhymes with the last one. Hopefully it'll work.
I like to think about the difference it would have made if George would have had someone in his crew who could be there to point out all the things that didn't match up with the original movies.
Leia, do you remember your mother? Your real mother?
Just a little bit. She died when I was very young.
What do you remember?
Just images, really. Feelings.
Tell me.
She was very beautiful. Kind, but sad. Why are you asking me this?
I have no memory of my mother. I never knew her.
This trend of one person having sole creative control continues with the sequel trilogy. It baffles me that Disney chose to release these movies so quickly without taking the proper time to craft a cohesive story that was truly worth telling, while being careful to pay homage to the characters and lore that had already been cinematically established. Especially so with a trilogy of movies, which provides an excellent change to develop a story that harmonizes together and characters and relationships that evolve over the course of these movies, reaching to a final and satisfying conclusion for fans.
No, I mean, these movies, each one of these, from 7 to 8, and now from 8 to 9, it's like a relay race with handing a baton. So, I sat down and met with JJ, and he just kind of had like a brief discussion, but the truth is, he and Chris Terrio, who he's writing it with, they're working away right now, and they're figuring out where it's going to go, and they're finding and telling their story for where it's going to end. And I'm, both as a Star Wars fan, as a JJ fan, I'm just thrilled to step back and just become an audience member again. So we'll see where it goes.
I think that no matter what your opinions are of The Last Jedi, you have to admit that the installments so far have felt disjointed. JJ started us out with The Force Awakens, which I liked, though I was very disappointed by a couple decisions. But overall, it was good. Actually, I should say it was good as part of a trilogy, though not solely by itself. And I think it could have been made better by what came after it. However, JJ started all these story threads, then which were dropped in someone else's lap to continue. And it surprised me when I learned there was no real collaboration between JJ and Rian on the direction they wanted to go. And we also have the fact that Mark Hamill was very vocal to Rian about his character Luke. He did not understand at all the vision Rian had for him.
It's not important to the story, but it is for the actor to try and figure out, who is this guy? How did the most optimistic, hopeful character in the galaxy turn into this hermit who says it's time for the Jedi to end? I read that and I said, what? I mean, that's not what a Jedi does. I mean, a Jedi is optimistic. A Jedi has tenacity. He never gives up. He doesn't secrete himself on an island, but you'll see.
And his choice not to listen to the actor and being unwilling to change things around and adjust to create something true to the character of Luke, it seems selfish. So again, not working with other people creatively, we got the product of The Last Jedi that took all of JJ's story threads and threw them in the trash. Now we're back to JJ, who had some interesting thoughts regarding Rian's decisions in The Last Jedi. In an interview with Rolling Stone, J.J. Abrams said he was really surprised by the creative decisions Rian Johnson took, particularly with two things: the killing of Snoke and how dark the character of Luke Skywalker had become. He said he actually laughed when he read the first draft of the script. And I don't think that kind of surprise is a good thing from the writer of the next movie. I think it really painted him into a corner creatively. And as some of us may know, Colin Trevorrow stepped down initially from Episode 9 over creative differences, which, given what we now know about how this trilogy is being handled, is completely understandable. So being in the corner JJ was, I really think he should have sought out creative help, as well as listened to the fan base as a whole. So regarding the rise of Skywalker, my thoughts can be summed up in one line.
I got a bad feeling about this.
I'll dedicate other videos regarding my thoughts on the first two installments of the sequel trilogy, as well as the trailer for Rise of Skywalker. It's almost upon us, people. Back to my point regarding the importance of having a creative team of people when it comes to Star Wars. Not only do we have the original trilogy that proves the success of collaboration, we now also have The Mandalorian. And one of the reasons why I think The Mandalorian is doing so well and is being so widely received is because of Jon Favreau is working very closely with Dave Filoni, who worked on The Clone Wars. You can tell how passionate Jon is about Star Wars. He is a huge fan, and I love to hear him talk about it and how much he appreciates the fans as well. He appreciates the fans because he is one. I'll post another link in the description to an interview Jon did. It's just awesome to hear him talk about The Mandalorian. You can very clearly see his passion for the project, as well as his humility in working with others to create something great that fans will love.
Well, that's the thing with especially with Star Wars, but always you want to make sure if you're making it and the fans don't dig what you're doing, I don't know that I can keep doing it. Like part of it, a big part of it is that you want to connect. You want to connect with the fans. When you're taking on something like Star Wars, you know, I didn't create Star Wars. You know, I grew up with Star Wars, and so you want to make sure you're servicing it in a way that's respectful to what came before, and in a way that is hopefully delights the audience and the fans.
So yes, I'm loving The Mandalorian so far, and it's definitely a step in the right direction for Disney. There's a couple things that I'm not crazy about, and I'll get into those when I do my full review of The Mandalorian Season 1. I plan on releasing videos reviewing other sci-fi fantasy content periodically as well, so be sure to subscribe, leave a like, and let me know your thoughts about the direction the Star Wars franchise is headed. Thanks for listening, and as always, have a very nerdy day.